Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back, I'm not going anywhere. Beast! Peekaboo, I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available in the fall of 2025. We've had a little bit of a delay. The album, Dad AF. Rock on, girl dust. Woman. Beast. How are you guys doing today? I'm doing really well. But this video is supposed to be a Q&A with my husband. I'll explain. I'll get into that in just a second. But before I do, I want to give a very special shout out to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. You guys listen, I've worked with Skillshare a lot in the past. I really think that they are a cool concept. I've enjoyed everything that I have received from Skillshare as far as all the lessons that they have on there. They have thousands and thousands of lessons on their website. So let me explain to you what they are, okay? They are a creative community of hundreds of people from hundreds of countries that go over there and join, and they have all of these different lessons that you can learn. You can learn about style, you can learn about plants, you can learn about journaling, you can learn about creativity, you can learn about pivoting your career. They have all kinds of lessons over there that you can learn from, right? And the majority of them, well, most of the lessons have like 10 sub-lessons within them, and then those lessons are all about 30 to 60 seconds. So you could sit down in the matter of no time at all and take an entire lesson. And they're taught by people that are really experienced in those areas, and it's really cool. They're also ad-free, okay? And with a yearly subscription, you get unlimited amount of lessons. You can take as many lessons as you want. Now, here's the really cool part, okay? With my link below, if you hit my link below, the first 1,000 people will get a free 1-month trial. So all you have to do is go hit the link below, and you can take as many classes as you want and see if it's for you, see if you really like it. The class that I am taking, now I've actually taken the plant one before, and it's called Indoor Gardening, Grow Houseplants, Veggies, and Herbs, and I really enjoyed that one. The one that I'm taking this time is called, because I think that it's time for me just to maybe change it out of just a t-shirt, a trucker hat, and some shorts. Find Your Style, 5 Exercises to Unlock Your Creative Identity by Andy Pizza. He's an illustrator, designer, and podcaster, okay? Now, if you go underneath here and you see the lesson, like how it's broken down, these lessons are a little bit longer, but typically they're between 30 and 60 seconds. You can see how it's like introduction, how to find your style, a cosmic minute, the big ideas, and it goes through. And so each one builds on the next, and they just teach you all different kinds of things. It's really cool, okay? And all of the lessons are included with the subscription. So that's all you have to do. Go check it out below. Anyway, thank you Skillshare so much for sponsoring this video. All right, so let's get to the Q&A. Well, let's invite my husband over. Come on, Alex, let's do the Q&A. So here comes my husband. He was over there. You were in the green room of the video. Were you in the green room? What were you? He was playing his game. What's your game you like to play?
You forgot?
What's it called?
It's Township.
I thought he was going to say something dirty. Okay, so I went through, I put up on Instagram, would you guys like us to do a Q&A or like us talking about the Real Housewives? And it was the final poll ended up being 52% to 48%. And so here we are doing yet another Q&A. No, we don't want kids. I know it's a big surprise after 15 Q&As. But the first question that we got was, so I tried to pick questions that we hadn't answered before. I do want to say this before getting into this. I made a video update coming back after the accident, and I said in there that that would kind of be the one and only time that I would talk about that. And, you know, I think Alex and I have both had really difficult times as a result of the accident, and there were a lot of questions, and I'm just not willing to put my husband on blast on video. He was a huge support system to me at the time, and we have grown closer as a result. of what we have gone through. It's been a really difficult 6 months for us, you guys. With losing the dog, and Alex's really close friend had some medical issues that I talked about in my vlog that she allowed me to talk about. She's gonna come over here and do a video. She wants to come over here and do a video on this channel. So, but anyway, we've grown closer as a result of that, and there were so many questions as a result of that, and I just don't want this to be like a firing squad, so we're just going to leave it at that. But the first question that we got was, I know you aren't having kids, but are there any names you'd give your non-existent children?
I mean, I've never thought about it.
I knew he would.
It's like, would you ever take a class on learning how to change diapers? I know you don't want any children. Why would I take a class on how to...
I might take a class on... That might...
But, like, what's the point?
I always wanted to take, well, I think I did one semester take home ec instead of, I can't remember at this point. But I do have names. But I think it's also because I'm a writer, and I also think about dogs that I want. And so, like, I like Southern names like Hank and Jack.
Those are Southern names?
Southern names, yeah. He usually jokes with me, he's like, you would name your kids all of the names that, like, your best friend Tanya has named her dogs. But her dog's name is Cash, so I wouldn't name my dog Cash. I wouldn't name my... Well, I would maybe name a dog Cash, but I wouldn't... Oh, I don't know. Cash for a kid would be a cute name. This is where he gets kind of worn out. He's like, okay, we're not having kids, so... All right, the next question. When was the last time... This was interesting. I got... this question in kind of several different ways, not necessarily about Alex, but about my sobriety. When was the last time Alex was worried about your sobriety? Love you.
I was never really worried about his sobriety. I never really have been. I think that, like, you know, there's some, like, instances that I wonder if, like, things would trigger or, like, would, you know, make him question, but I don't have any, like... fear of him, like, you know, not continuing his sober, you know, health. So, no wonder.
I talk about
No
it.
fear.
Yeah, I talk about it in my videos a lot, but I don't know that people really understand that, like, my closest friends are my sobriety friends. And, you know, Alex knows my sponsor very well and has worked with her closely on, you know, different issues. Like when I got out of the hospital this last time, as far as like pain medication, like the two of them work together on with the doctor on what they, Alex calls this getting stuck.
Well, that's how I deal with you rambling on.
Do you want me to go to the next one?
Sure.
No, but
I mean, they were asking me if I'm wondering, but here you are explaining how it, like,
okay,
how I'm wondering.
Okay. Who has the better sense of style?
Me.
Based on who?
I mean.
Okay, I guess that's true. Although, I will say that when I was a lot thinner, I thought I dressed pretty cute.
Yeah, we shared clothes, so I agree.
When we were at brunch today, this girl, she next to us, she was like, you have awesome eyes. I said, oh, thank you so much. And then I stood up and I went and got coffee. And this other girl, she goes, you look so thin, this woman that works there. And she goes, you look so thin. And I was like, oh my God, compliments all around today. Okay, I do think that you have the better sense of style.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, it's called ASOS, but...
Hey.
Okay.
Better than Target.
Oh, well, I like my black t-shirts from Target. Oh, you're so mean. Okay. How does being a vegetarian and in recovery affect your marriage since Alex is neither?
It doesn't. I mean, Peter, like, you know, orders what he wants out of the menu, and I order what I want out of the menu, and that's it.
Yeah, being a vegetarian really... I'm, like, sitting here really trying to think about, like, times that it's, like, affected us. The only times I can think is, like when we've made chili or something. And, like, he wants ground beef in it, and I want to make it vegetarian. That was,
but
like,
we don't
one
cook.
time, and I burnt the pan.
Like, well, we don't cook, so,
Yeah.
like, it's not like we're the ones, like, having to make that choice. Like, you know, our friend Melissa, like, when she makes chili, she'll make 2 pots. She actually makes 3 pots of chili, because one of her friends doesn't like beans, you know? So, like, it doesn't affect us at all, like...
Yeah, being a vegetarian really doesn't. You know, it's really interesting, because Alex and I have very different... Well, he drinks, I don't. And then we have very different spiritual beliefs. he's an atheist, and I have pretty strong core foundation in like having spiritual beliefs and based in recovery. And then I'm a vegetarian, and he's not. And I'm not necessarily a believer that, would you say opposites attract, or do you think it's just that these things aren't core issues with us?
I don't know. I mean, I think that for us, like, I mean, I can't really generalize that, you know, like, it's everybody's different, and sometimes opposite are destructive, and sometimes equals are just as destructive. For us, it's just like respecting the other person and just kind of accepting and enjoying the other person's difference.
Yeah, I think it also has allowed us to have conversations over time.
Sure. I mean, do you want me? No. That's a great conversation.
That's not what I mean. What I mean is like we've had spiritual conversations, and he's very respectful of it. Like, there was a time that I was going through, this has been years ago, that I was going through some really difficult times, and I was trying, you know, like, well, I still do, but like praying every night and whatever, and I would do it when I came upstairs to the bedroom, and he would say to me, like, you know, like, do you need to pray, like, before we turn the lights off and stuff? And I remember that, like, he's always been really supportive of that, or asking questions, and even though that's not his belief system, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I never really correlate someone's belief system to, like, any moral compass. Like, I mean, if I would, then everybody will be, like, damned, you know? Because, like, it's just, historically, it's just been, like, bad in any form of religion, right? But, like, I just believe that, you know, you're a good person today for today, not for tomorrow. So, therefore, it's just, you know, be a good person today.
I'm gonna have to break that one down. That was complex. That's, like, why I didn't go into law school. Okay. Oh, speaking of which, do you guys have differing political views? No, not really.
No. I don't let them emotionally affect me. I mean, I do let them, like, there are times when I just get, like, upset or angry, or, like, you know, there's, what is it that I can do to, like, help or fix, or, like, you know, leave a mark or whatever, but, like, I don't let them, or, like, the opposition, like, you know, rule my train of thought, or like infuse me with fear. Like, I just, you know, it's my life. So.
I am very emotional about political things, but I've always been that way. A, and B, my mother was very much that way. I will say this. I think that not necessarily my parents' political beliefs, but my mother's activism drove a huge wedge between my parents. Like, I can remember my mom, she was friends with the Chicago 7, and she worked at Northwestern Library when my parents lived in Chicago, and she wanted to go down to a riot, or like this organized activist sit-in, and my dad said, if you go, it will be the beginning of the end of us, because we're seeing things very differently here. And I remember she said she went, and like when my dad, you know, she came home, my dad was supportive of her as his wife, but like that was where they started seeing things, you know, like very differently. And I think, you know, Alex and I mean, we see things politically very, very similarly, and always have, and always really have. I'm probably more vocal about it than he is.
Well, you're very more like fear driven. Like, if you see something happening, like you just like jump to like the scenario of like what could possibly happen, and I kind of am like, well, it's not there yet, so let's not, you know, turn to fear, and you know, but we're just, I mean, that's how we are with any other type of topic as well. So
probably, yeah. Okay, what are you all gonna do for your anniversary in August? I love to hear the plans.
Well, you know, we're just going to spend, since it's 11 years, we're just going to spend 11 days naked going at it.
So, okay, here's the deal.
We have to create content for our OnlyFans.
Our OnlyFans? What would we call it?
We already talked about
it.
Pafeet.
Pafeet. I'm going to show an elbow. But anyway, how much would you charge to see my elbow?
Or is it a ball, you know?
How much would you charge to see my elbow, though, nude?
Or is it a ball?
I'm going to do it. Look, it's covered now, okay? You can
censor it.
You got censored elbow like Trisha Paytas does. Okay, so here's the deal. we have kind of unplanned plans to go to Nashville with two of our friends, couples, for, it was kind of like a belated birthday trip for me because I just want to go somewhere, but I can't fly right now because of the fluid on my brain from the trauma that we're getting checked out like once every month with CAT scans and seeing my neurologist and things like that. My next appointment is the first week of August. Depending on what he tells me at that time is the decisions that we will make on going somewhere or whatnot. Alex is actually going to Las Vegas, Nevada, the last weekend of July. He's going for a friend's birthday party. He's very excited about that.
It has nothing to do with our anniversary.
That has nothing to do with our anniversary. But I actually did look at Nashville. He and I just went for a weekend, and there's a couple really nice hotels there, and we just kind of want to like, we've never really hung out. I've been one time. I went with a friend of mine and a drag queen that was working in a bar down there, the Connection Nashville. That was before I got sober.
The Connection in Nashville?
There was a Connection in Nashville and a Connection in Louisville.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so I haven't been down there since then, and the only thing I did was tour the Jack Daniels distillery or whatever. So there's a lot of different things we would like to do if we went down there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was probably what we'll do for our anniversary. But listen, if I can end up traveling, it's going to be a bigger deal than that, probably. Okay, how to get your partner on board with couples counseling. So, did I say this already about the couples counseling? I started going to counseling again about 3 weeks after the accident, 4 weeks, I don't know. Alex started about 2 weeks after me, 3 weeks after me, going individually, and now we're going to couples counseling as well. Did I already say this in here? I feel like I already said this. There's always like this misconception that if you're going to couples counseling, like there's something wrong, right? And I don't think that's necessarily the case. Like the reason we went back is because we've been wanting to go back to couples counseling since the last time that we stopped, right? Mm-hmm. And we just always communicate better when we're going to couples counseling.
So to answer your question, which is not what you
smart
did,
ass.
I would just try to understand like why they're being resistant to it, what's their fear like about going, why do they not want to like partake, what do they believe about therapy, and then work your way down from there. Because you know, if it's like they've been to therapy before and they believe it never worked, then you know that's a different conversation versus being like, I've never been to therapy and I don't believe it works, right? So it's just understanding their reasoning and like their why as to not, and then go from there.
Yeah, also I think don't wait till it gets too bad. Like when Alex and I started marriage counseling the first time, it was bad. Like it was bad between us. And really how Alex got me on board, because I was afraid. I was like, I don't know what's going to come up in counseling, you know? And I was terrified, like having been a counselor, I was like, I don't know what's going to come up in here. And I don't know that I want to know, you know? And I don't remember how he said it or whatever happened, but basically Alex was like, if we don't go, we're going to end up getting divorced. I mean, it wasn't like an ultimatum, but it was like, this is the next step. And I was more afraid to get divorced than I was to go to counseling. So I was willing to go. But I had there were some things that were important to me. I wanted to see a man. I wanted to see a straight man. I don't know why that was important to me. And I wanted to see somebody that was in recovery. So...
Or at least knew about recovery.
Or at least, at least knew about recovery. Neither one of our counselors has been in recovery, but they're very well versed on recovery. Because I didn't want to have to like go and sit in a room and explain like where I'm coming from. A lot of like counselors and therapists will say they know about recovery, but they really don't. Like they don't know what like working steps or inventory means or whatnot. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. What was Alex's impression of Shane Dawson when he met him?
Indifferent. I didn't get it. I don't understand like why people like him, but...
Do you even like remember that, sitting here today, do you remember that experience?
I remember it because you've told the story plenty of times. And it just kind of, you know, I remember you telling the story, but I mean, it's not.
Do you remember who else you got to meet that day?
He was with a group of people on the time.
No, do you remember who else you got to meet?
Oh, Cascade.
He got to meet Cascade that day. He was so more excited about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's relevant.
You know, it really wasn't that big of a deal. We went and sat in this bar in the Cosmopolitan, and it was Shane and Ryland and shoot, I don't even remember who else. Andrew and Garrett. It was just whatever, you know, we just kind of sat there and talked. Like, this is the thing, like, Alex at the time, Shane Dawson was at the top of his game. Alex had no clue who he was. Like, Alex could care less. I mean, Alex was like, now what do? You make videos on YouTube? I mean, he thought he was just like somebody like me, like he had no clue, you know? I was actually thinking about this last night. I was like, who are all the celebrities that we've met? Because I mentioned in a video, because I was talking about this Sloan guy that did videos about Corey Feldman and Corey Haim. And I said, we actually met Corey Feldman. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. What was your impression of Corey Feldman?
That he was weird.
He was weird, you guys. So a friend of ours had gotten these are the kind of stories they like. I know you do get worn out with my story times, but they like these, trust me. Okay. So a friend of ours had gotten a VIP section. It's so funny if you had known this girl. She got like a VIP section at a bar in Indianapolis, which is kind of a sad statement in itself. But anyway, and so these other two people that were like, he was here for like a horror festival or Comic-Con or something. And so they were like in charge of like entertaining him for the night. And so they couldn't get into this bar unless they were sitting in a VIP section, so they kind of invited themselves into her section, and she got like real nasty about it. So anyway, he literally sat right next to me, and he was like in the Michael Jackson coat with the glove and the sunglasses and the whole 9 yards. You guys, this is, how long ago do you think that was? 11 years ago, 12 years ago? Mm-hmm. Was it before we got married?
I think it was like the summer that we got married. Or the summer after.
So it was like 11 years ago. It was real weird, you guys. Like, I don't think he said one word the entire time.
No, I mean, we talked to him for a minute. I don't recall a Michael Jackson glove.
I feel like
or sunglasses.
Do you remember the leather? I do remember the sunglasses.
I do recall like a very flamboyant outfit, and not like as in like, you know, effeminate flamboyant. I mean like flamboyant is like loud flamboyant.
I don't remember him saying anything though, like just sitting there. I feel like I said something and put my foot in my mouth, which I always do. And I said something like, I love the Goonies or something like that, you know? Like, I don't know.
I just talked to him like he was a real person.
Because you didn't even know who he was.
Probably.
Who else have we met, famous people-wise? We danced on stage with Britney Spears. Mm-hmm. Alex, this is so funny in this moment that we danced on stage. So Alex still has a good friend of his. Did she do hair or makeup for Britney Spears?
She did the makeup and hair for the dancers on both tour.
Okay, and so she was like on tour and everything like that, and so we got like to go tour back around stage, whatever, and then like she got us to be like, it was to I Want to Go, and we got to dance on stage with Britney Spears. And there were like 20 people that were up there, maybe more than that. And so it was so funny.
It was actually less than 10 people. It was 6 people
total.
9 people total
with the dancers
and the dancers. That's why it felt like it was more.
Yeah. So they told us like when you get on stage, just jump and go like this. And my husband, who is a dancer and to be discovered, if you see the pictures or the videos, you can see him. He's like this, dancing like out. You used to love Britney Spears so much.
Yeah.
Who else have we met? What other famous people have we met?
I don't know. I mean, a bunch. I mean, I've met a bunch of like DJs.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like real famous people.
These DJs are real famous.
Shane Dawson. Okay. If you do a condo remodel, that's not if, actually, that's when. Will it be a series both you and Alex would consider doing together on YouTube?
Sure.
Yeah, we would do that. Tell them what I started that you said yesterday that you noticed.
The basement.
I started cleaning out the basement. He was real excited about that. Okay. Does Alex share your love of Poopery and Starbucks tumblers? I don't think he knows how to use Poopery because
I know how to use it. I just don't think about using it. I mean, like what I'm thinking
3 squirts in the toilet. That's all it takes.
I mean, that's the last thing of my concerns. Like I'm just like, get it out.
God.
You know? Same thing with the tumblers. Get them out. Enough.
He doesn't understand the whole tumbler thing.
I don't see its glamour.
What's something you used to believe about relationships but no longer do?
Nothing.
Yeah, I don't know that my belief system has changed about relationships.
I don't really think I have a belief system in regards to relationships.
You know, Alex said something to me early on, which kind of like rattled my cage of fairy tales, but I think at the same time, like it is really important for my looking at relationships. I said to him, like, at 3 weeks, do you think I'm your soulmate? Or something like that.
I think it was probably like on our first date.
It was probably on our first date. I said, do you think I'm your soulmate?
It was before our first date.
Shut up, it was not. And he goes, no, he goes, I don't believe in soulmates. And I was like, well, if you don't believe in soulmates, then how can I believe in soulmates?
It literally was probably like a month and a half fight because of like...
No, it wasn't. Shut your mouth. It's very much today like how I believe about like spirituality. Like I believe in an afterlife, but if he's an atheist and that means he won't be there, I don't believe that. Like I believe he'll be there whether he believes in it or not. But he said to me something I thought was so important. He said, no, I don't believe that we're soulmates. I think that we're two people that enjoy each other's company, and we found each other, and we decided to... you always do this intense stare into the camera. It's like, Are you seducing my audience?
I'm just, I'm stuck.
So anyway, he said... Can you explain what being stuck is?
It's like when you're just, like, stuck.
Like, you just, like... That's what he and his friends call it. Okay, so anyway, but he said that to me about soulmates. No, it's not soulmates. It's like we... meet at a certain time, we enjoy each other's company, and we decide to stay together and work through it, hopefully. And I really think that that's so important in looking at relationships, because I think that if you choose to be together and work together, it's like anything is possible, I think. What are the greatest lessons you've learned since being married? Always use poopery.
Yep. I don't know. I mean, I think that like I would have learned all these lessons even without being married. I think it's more like life lessons, and I think that it's just like communication and partnership and acceptance and like consideration and I guess a lesson that I've learned, not necessarily because of being married, but from my husband, is that like would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Like I'm just like, sure. You're right. Next point. Like it's just easier to just lay down and take it.
Do you feel resentment or jealousy towards Alex when he goes out with his friends since you can't leave? Well, I can leave, first of all. Are you shaking your nod in your head?
All the time.
That is not true. Not true at all. Actually, first of all, he invites me always with him. He's like, do you want to come to this? Do you want to come to that? And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. Like, I'm very much a homebody. He's not. He could go out every single night of the week and enjoy it. And I think, like, in all honesty, I mean, I think, like, seeing it from the outside looking in, people don't really understand how it works, but we also have so much time that we spend together that I'm like, sometimes I'm like, go. Like, you want to go with your, go. Like, I'm going to watch some TV shows here and relax with the dog. So, no, it works for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What do you look for in a good couples therapist? Never had this question, and I think it's a fantastic question.
I don't, I think that, like, what we were looking for, it was someone that was respectful of, like, our different, like, spiritual and non-spiritual beliefs. And like you said earlier, someone that was, like, very familiar and aware of, like, sobriety. A man. But I guess, like, for me, it didn't really matter, like, a gender. To me, it's like, if you're good at, like, what you do and, like, you can provide help, then it doesn't matter. Peter feels more comfortable with a man. And he wanted someone who was straight. I was kind of, like, indifferent about that. I also think that, like, having, like, a gay, like, therapist would probably, like, help and give some, like, insights or, like, have, like, first-hand experience as to, like, what it is that we're feeling or going through. But also, it doesn't really matter, like, if, sexual orientation or, like, gender to me is not a variable that I care enough to have to weigh in when it comes to making a decision about someone. But, it did for Peter, so we went with that.
It's going to stop. Hold on just a second. Okay, so just to explain a little bit of why certain things were important to me, I'd seen many women counselors in my past, and were fantastic. I just wanted to try something different, and since we had had a male counselor before, that was why I wanted to have a male counselor this time. It was important for me to have somebody in recovery because like I said, I didn't want to have to like explain to them, you know, like what it was like to be in recovery. And as far as like the gay thing, like I had known several people that had gone to gay counselors, gay men and lesbians and couples. And it tended to be like when they would talk to me, it was like they were treated as like, talk a lot about the gayness of being a couple, not just being a couple. And so I wanted to talk about being a couple, not just being a gay couple, if that makes sense. So those were things that were, you know, important for me. The other thing I will say is that like this time, I wanted somebody that had a strong clinical background and really knew about like trauma and PTSD and things like that, but that was more like talk therapy. Like I didn't want somebody that was, you know, like super, super clinical. And so that was kind of why I went with who we're working with now. Do you like our therapist?
Yeah, I think he's great.
Okay. I just talked about this actually in a video yesterday because Alex went to his high school reunion last night. You talked about Alex not experiencing bullying in high school. I'm curious to hear more.
I don't know what else there is to say. Like, I didn't.
So I was asking him before he went, I said, like, are you okay to go? And he said, yeah, why wouldn't I be? And I was very nervous to go to my high school reunion. If you want to hear more about it, I talked all about it on my vlog yesterday. And he said, no, but his experience in high school was very different. And I was sharing that he went to, like, all the school dances. I think he went to, like, how many homecomings and proms did you go to?
All of them.
At how many different schools?
Prom, I don't know, prom 3 different schools, and like winter or like whatever formal dances 2, 3.
And he was also a dancer in high school. He danced for the Fever, which is Indianapolis' women's basketball team. So he had kind of like a fan following. And
the WNBA.
The WNBA, sorry. And, but you weren't bullied in high school or anything like that?
If I was, I don't remember. I don't think I was. I don't have like any like specific memory of it happening or trauma or like, you know, whatever. Like if it would have happened, like I guess I would have remembered last night, but no.
Interestingly enough, I definitely do think that has a lot to do in some ways in how we approach the world. But I don't know, I can get more into that in another video. Advice for the first year of living with a boyfriend and adjusting to it.
Patience.
I agree. Totally. I think also like you're going to find things out about the other person that are annoying to you, which sometimes
like the lack of use of potpourri, apparently.
I mean, I'm just saying that maybe you could use a little bit more, but anyway.
At least I'm flushing.
Oh, shut up, I flushed. Anyway, I think like, you know, one of the things that happened was like, I like a made bed. I like a bed that looks like a hotel room bed, like, right? And Alex doesn't necessarily care and he likes an unmade bed. And the other thing was like on our separate sides of the room, like he would have all this stuff and I'd be like cleaning it up. And I can remember I lived together for like 3 or 4 months and he was like, can you just let me have my side of the room? Like, just let me have my side of the room. And I was like, I can let him have this side of the room. And I don't have to make the bed every day if that's how, you know, I think it's give and take a lot and getting used to each other. So, and then here, the last 2 questions of the Housewives shows. Which shows are you enjoying the most right now? And how do you feel about Jen Shaw pleading guilty and facing 7 to 14 years in prison?
How did we jump from Q&A to like Housewives stuff?
Well, because we might at some point in the near future, I'm just saying, be doing a Housewives video, and you can hear all of our answers over there, including what would be our dream team for the Ultimate Girls Trip vacation cast, and who we think are the most dramatic of all of the Housewives in the history of Housewives. So anyway, thank you so much for being on this video with me.
You're welcome.
He's like this. All right, I'll let you get back to Township, and I love you, and I love you, and I will see you guys tomorrow.